Hello, I'm Sean Hughescamp.
And I'm Monsignor Charles Minor. Welcome to this edition of Real to Real. I think we're becoming so accustomed to violence that we pay scant attention to all the efforts being made for world peace. With personal envoys, secretaries of state, agents going all over the world pursuing it, we have suddenly given the whole obligation to other people to do it, and I think we should do something about peace.
Yes, Monsignor, and tonight we're going to meet two people who are making a personal statement about their commitment to world peace through a walking pilgrimage to Bethlehem. This will inaugurate a new series, which we will see over the next few weeks, which concentrates on current topics including peace, abortion, and infertility.
Our feature tonight will take us to Western Pennsylvania, where we'll see how a community is working on a problem that often goes hand in hand with peace, jobs. In Arts Review, Liz Andre will have a review on the film Gandhi, a man whose name is synonymous with peace. And we'll hear a peaceful selection from the Massilian Choir. Every Good Friday makes us recall the final walk of Jesus to Calvary and to death, and we look on that as a termination, but it is not. Jesus' death and redemption is for peace, for all mankind forever. Last Good Friday in Seattle, Washington, the Bethlehem Peace Pilgrimage began. A group of people organized to walk to Bethlehem by next Christmas and be there to celebrate through the here and throughout the world the whole idea of peace. In that group first was Jim Thomas, one of the original organizers of the group, who prepared for it and has been walking with it across the United States. And later on, as a guest walker, Ann Galiski joined them. And since that time, she herself has become a permanent member of the group. And so we're happy tonight to talk about the pilgrimage as it reaches this area and en route to the rest of the world to Bethlehem. Jim, it's so good of you to be here and so happy for us to have you say to us, what is a pilgrimage?
It's a prayer. It's been traditionally a form of prayer since ancient times, especially with going to religious shrines and, for important religious events. And our pilgrimage is that. It's primarily a prayer and addressing the peace issue with the world very much endangered by the amount and the almost crisis level of international relations with nuclear weapons. And we're crying out, we're asking for God's help, that it's kind of beyond almost any kind of human ability to confront the problem. So we're crying out to God and asking Him to help us with peace in the world.
Well, and how would you say then is a pilgrimage different from, say, a protest march?
A pilgrimage, as we see it, is much more a positive thing. As Jim said, it's a prayer for peace. We don't yell and scream. It's much more of a quiet thing. Our pilgrimage has 20 people in it. There were 18 core group members in the United States, and at times there would be hundreds. In Seattle, as we started, there were about 500 people. In St. Louis, there are hundreds of people, literally. In Europe, we hope to pick up some guest walkers to act as translators and also to walk with us through their city or town.
What's the reaction to people when you come in, Jim? How do they receive you?
Very well. They're very generous. People all across the United States are just fantastic through, the West and crossing over the Rockies and then through the Midwest and then across the Alleghenies and into Washington, D.C. Perhaps probably the most best reception, I guess, was in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. There's about, it's a small town, but like 150 people came out, and some of them walked with us through the downtown area. It was very good.
What do you do when you get there?
Basically, we just kind of rest for a while, and then we have a potluck dinner with the community, and then we present them our program, which consists of a film and then leading some discussion and some prayer.
What kind of a program would you have, like films, would you do? This is going to be a problem in Europe, presenting a program.
Well, we are going to look into perhaps getting some films in the native languages, and as I said, we're going to have a translator. Some in our group speak foreign languages, so we hope to have some discussion to understand what the European people are feeling about the arms race and to bring to them some kind of American people perspective on the issues.
Would you say then, for instance, that isn't with real deep sincerity, that the language of peace is like the language of love? It's a universal thing?
Quite
I
so.
would definitely say.
What do you think will be your itinerary in Europe?
Well, we'll be starting on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, from Cork, Ireland, and then walking up through Dublin and Northern Ireland and over to Scotland, England, and down through Paris and Geneva and Rome, and then across Athens and Turkey and down to the Middle East, and hopefully, God willing, reach Bethlehem by Christmas.
Do you think that your families were afraid, perhaps, of you going through Europe, particularly at this time, and particularly into the areas that you're going, the Middle East, etc.?
I would definitely say, last night we were talking in our community about the parents' reactions of all the people in our community, and they seem to be about the same. All of our parents are a bit fearful, and some don't quite understand our need to express our faith in this way. I had to leave school at the university in California and take a leave of absence, and my parents were a bit upset about that at the beginning, but now they understand the commitment I feel towards this.
And we who are walking aren't totally without fear as well. So.
That came to my
Definitely.
mind. Are you afraid?
Maybe more of the unknown. There's going to be, hot spots in Belfast and Middle East. But I think seeing how much God has blessed us already on the pilgrimage, and I know He's going to be with us, so we really don't have too much to fear.
This must be a very expensive trip, or even at bare bones, it must be an expensive trip. How are you funded?
We're funded basically by our own contributions. We contribute, each of us are walking about $70 a month. And then people along the way who we meet or talk to or hear about us will donate money to us.
We think in the end it will probably cost for everyone's expenses for 2 years and general expenses about $50,000. But for 20 people for 2 years, that doesn't seem to be a lot. We rely very much on the generosity of people and of the local churches to let us spend the night there.
Do you suppose that people generally are serious about peace? Or like myself and a lot of us, I think, in the East Coast here, it's there, it's a big subject for discussion, but it's usually somebody else's problem.
I think very much in the last few years it has become the people's problem. The people are acting now. As we walk through the United States in small towns and big cities, we saw peace groups forming, sometimes as a result of our influence, just getting the discussion going, which is the most important thing.
And yet, even though it is very much a people's problem, like you say, you've received a lot of enlightenment and support for your cause from, say, the bishops, correct?
Quite. We had a great opportunity to end our walk in Washington, D.C. on November 14th, just prior to the annual Conference of Catholic Bishops here in the United States. And that was excellent to kind of participate in a small way. We conducted a prayer vigil during the conference. And we got to talk to some of the bishops and just to experience their deliberations and discussions on peace. And the pastoral letter was really excellent and gave us a very positive feeling that it can be accomplished.
I would think it would be important for them to talk to you because they're very sensitive to the problem, and there's not all assent among them either. There's a big difference. It'd be important for them to meet you. Did you get any reaction of their wanting to talk to you, or just we must talk to these people?
No, for me, they were very much open to talking with us. They knew about what we were about, and were very thankful that we were taking the steps we were.
The whole sense of the Church's mission in the United States has certainly come alive in this issue, and it's the nuclear arms race and it's the peace thing. And to see the bishops take this leadership has certainly been more than encouraging, and I would hope that your peace pilgrimage is doing the same thing. Do you find that people are encouraged, or they just write you off and say, there they go, let them go again?
people are very pleased, and we give them a lot of hope, I think, by just seeing another person or a group of people out there doing something on an individual level for peace. It helps them to be motivated to do something for peace as well.
A lot of hope is not a lot of wishful thinking. A lot of hope means a lot of work. Our Holy Father, Pope John Paul II, just this past New Year's Day, in celebrating the feast of Mary, Mother of the Church, said that it was important as we think of the concept of Bethlehem, and we understand that all Christian men and women must be educated in peace. It's a serious commitment. What have you learned lately about peace?
Stay tuned for a review of the movie Gandhi and a musical interlude by the Massilian Choir.
Hi, I'm Liz Andre. This week on Arts Review, we'll take a look at the film Gandhi. Ben Kingsley is magnificent as Gandhi, the man who brought independence to India after World War II, and whose philosophy was peace through nonviolence. Dynamic performances are turned out by the all-star supporting cast, including John Gielgud, Trevor Howard, John Mills, Edward Fox, Candice Bergen, and Martin Sheen. They play just a few of the people whose lives were touched by Gandhi. Richard Attenborough directs this epic movie. It's his personal dream come to life after 20 years of struggle, and it hits the screen with a force rarely seen in today's films. Gandhi's lifelong commitment to peace prohibited the use of violence against the English government. Civil disobedience was the only kind of opposition he could condone. Gandhi was a deeply religious man who devoted his life to achieving peace between the Indians and the English. He brought his message of peace through nonviolence from South Africa to India. His courageous stand against the British led to the country's eventual independence. Paying lip service to one's beliefs is easy. Having the courage of your convictions is not. True courage is found in actions. Gandhi was the embodiment of true courage.
Mr. Taylor, sir, up here.
Jesus. What the hell is going on?
I don't know, sir. The agent got a telegram, and it just said he is coming. And gave the time of the train.
Who the hell is he?
I don't know, sir.
Wait for the officer. Get back. Come back. Away. Other way. Come on, you.
Who the devil are you?
My name is Gandhi, Mohandas K. Gandhi.
Well, whoever you are, we don't want you here. I suggest you get back on that train before it leaves.
They seem to want me.
Now, look here. I'll put you under arrest if you'd prefer.
On what charge?
I don't want any trouble.
I'm an Indian traveling in my own country. I see no reason for trouble.
Well, there had better not be.
Gandhi's observation that violence only begets violence can be seen even in today's world. Each act of terror by Christian or Muslim in Lebanon seemed to provoke a yet more violent reprisal. Gandhi's ideals of peace and justice still inspire modern leaders. Martin Luther King, Anwar Sadat, Lech Walesa, and Pope John Paul II are all examples of men willing to risk their lives for their beliefs. Gandhi is rated PG. It's an uplifting, powerful film that may be too deep for young children, but which shouldn't be missed by adults and adolescents. I'm Liz Andre, and that's this week's Arts Review.
If you read the newspapers very carefully, you might find some signs that the nation's economy is making some very tenuous steps towards recovery. But in many places, like Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, recovery is a long way off, and people there have to turn to each other for a glimmer of hope.
I'm looking for a job. I can't find a job. Every place I look for a job, nobody's hiring. It's the first time I ever saw anything like this in my life. I'm on the verge of becoming an alcoholic, I guess. That's about it.
The bottom fell out. What's next for them? The future is very, they've asked me, when am I going to get called back to work? And I can't tell them. And so, well, how's it look for the future? And the only thing I can tell them, it looks very dim. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, not even a glimmer of hope.
The steel industry has been the backbone of the American economy for many years. In the past years, steel production has been slowly declining due to the national economic situation and foreign competition. The Pittsburgh area has international recognition for its steel production and currently for its astronomical unemployment rate. Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, northwest of Pittsburgh, has been crippled by the floundering economy. Aliquippa, like many other steel towns, depends on the steel industry. In this case, the Jones and Laughlin Steel Corporation.
We we're a union services a plant of about 10,000 union people. The plant's approximately lays on the Ohio River, about 20 miles north of Pittsburgh. It's approximately about 7 miles long and a couple miles wide. And we're a very old industrial plant. We date back into the early 1900s.
Pete Aretano is president of the Steelworkers Union Local 1211 in Aliquippa. He is a native of this town and is currently fighting to keep it alive.
Well, Aliquippa is a typical steel town. It's one of the towns where a lot of the people moved out into the suburbs. And we used to have used to be a once thriving community, and everything based around the steel industry, and basically Jones and Laughlin Steel. And we were proud of our heritage and our background as far as being hard-working people, and we're proud of the community. We do need help, and we don't want to beg. We want to work, and we don't want to stand in welfare lines. We want to work, and we don't want checks, relief checks or unemployment checks. This is a work ethnic community.
If they tell you to look for a job, where you going to look at? There's nobody hiring. There's nowhere to go. So I just walk up and down the street, just say hi to everybody. Everybody's, really everybody's out here to breast money real tight. And really nothing to do all day. You can't find nothing to really occupy you, and I'm not what you call an intellectual, so, I don't have nothing to do. Just walk around all day, hang in the bars. That's about it. Just drink.
We've seen some hard times. Holding it together ain't always easy. An angry man, hungry woman, driving each other crazy.
Jones and Laughlin Steel formerly employed 10,000 union steelworkers. They have cut back to 2,500 and are skeptical of the future of the plant if the economy keeps dropping. If the steel mill dies, so does Aliquippa. The unemployment rate in the town is over 30%, with an increasing number losing their benefits daily. Frustrated from receiving no help from the government, Pete Aretano turned to his fellow employed union members and with their help started a unique food bank program to help the unemployed.
We went over real great. We made flyers up and we explained to them, and we asked them for a minimum of $2 a pay, which is every 2 weeks. And the response was, on average, they average about $10 a pay. And it's purely voluntary. And we've had some as high as $50 a pay, and that's $100 a month. And we've asked them to sign up for 6 months, and they have done this.
With the contributions the union received, Pete Aretano was able to purchase food certificates from local supermarkets, giving the people a chance to choose and buy their own groceries instead of receiving a handout.
Marty and Deborah Zangas, who used to work in the Siemens Tube department, they both worked there, and they both got laid off. And they've both run out of unemployment compensation. They've come down here and asked for our help in the way of food certificates. And we've given it to them. We've given them food certificates. But that's very little to help sustain a family.
There's a big economic adjustment. It's, you do without a lot of things that you were used to having, that you didn't consider really extras before, that now are considered extras. You know, it's amazing how much you can cut out of your lifestyle.
Well, it was hard at first, but I'm getting used to it, being home, you know, all the time. I'd rather be out working, but...
I just hope that, you know, the economy picks up soon, but if it doesn't, we're going to be a dead community. It'll be dead. There'll be no town, there'll be no people. They're just all going welfare. It'll be the Appalachia. I guess they could afford to send billions of dollars to foreign countries, Lebanon, wherever, but they can't afford to spend any money in their industries or in their people, on their people. It's tragic. I think the American people have fallen asleep as a whole and letting government just take over and just do what they want when they want without very much objection from the public. It's tragic to see a steel industry, the backbone of the nation, come down to this, a slow dying death.
Got to hold on, 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 got to hold on.
My main frustration is not knowing about the future and not being able to help these people as much as I'd like to help them. I'd like to see the government come in, if nothing else, and help us with retraining programs, make monies available to help retrain the younger people who will probably never get called back to the plant, if we save the plant.
With the current national unemployment skyrocketing and a bleak outlook for the future of the steel industry, the fate of towns like Aliquippa appears to be sealed. It is the strength evidenced by the people of those communities in the face of adversity and efforts of individuals like Pete Eritano that provides a glimmer of hope for the future.
That situation in Aliquippa strikes very close to home for me. I live in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, and we, as well as people in Levittown, Burlington, and Bristol, are also suffering joblessness through steel. But we are also experiencing the great charity our people have one for the other.
Let's hope, Monsignor, that all Americans wake up to the misery that many of their neighbors are experiencing. Next week, we'll discuss the pro-life issue with a woman who once considered having an abortion herself, but now takes the opposite view as the president of Lutherans for Life.
And I'll take you to Washington to experience the 10th annual Pro-Life March.
In our other story, we'll see how puppets are helping to correct some wrong ideas about the handicapped, and we'll meet another group of puppets that sing.
As always, it's so good to be with you. Good night, and God bless you.
Good night.